This is a game today.
Hello, welcome back to another draft player analysis video.
Of the sport.
Today, I will be doing my last player in this series for this year, Mackensie Alexander.
No, we won't talk about that. Let's talk about good things.
Mackensie Alexander, defensive back, Clemson, 5'10", 190 pounds. Stats: 44 tackles, 4 tackles for a loss, no interceptions, no forced fumbles.
Make a big play out of it.
Those were in 2 years starting experience at Clemson as a freshman and a sophomore. Now, right off the top of your head, if you're hearing the stats, you're probably assuming that he's not very good. But this doesn't really account for the fact that he had quite a few pass breakups and overall was good in coverage and didn't get beat very often.
They attacked the offensive line, and
there is no awards and accolades to really talk about with them. So,
second down and 13.
I think I just kind of have to get into the pros and cons. This will be a really short one. I'd be surprised if this one's longer than like 10, 11 minutes. So, starting with his pros. He is a competitor. He's going to fight for the ball, and he's going to try his damnedest every single play. He talks a lot. He talks a lot of shit. And he usually backs it up. He is really good. You know, he has those coverage skills. It's just the fact that he doesn't have many ball skills right now, as he doesn't make the play on the ball that you need him to. Which is kind of, you know, shown by his lack of interceptions in 2 years starting experience. But he is a fierce competitor, and he'll fight for the ball, and, you know, he'll make an effort to make a play at it. It's just he doesn't come down with it all the time.
Picks up 8 here.
Next, his awareness. I think he has really good awareness, you know, knowing where the ball is going to be, knowing where it ends up, all those things. Just kind of reading the receiver. I think he does that very well, kind of figuring out where the ball is going to be able to break on it and make at least an effort at it.
First down. Now looking for more.
If you're running back and you want more
Next,
carries, do things
his
like
instincts.
this. Read the defense right, read the
Overall, I think this kind of goes back to awareness, but his instincts are very good. He knows, you know, how to make a break on the ball and all that stuff properly. He's very smart, and he has instincts, you know. He's going to make plays that you really don't understand how he can make a break on the ball.
very well, and he picks his way through there.
It's just instincts, you know, knowing, having kind of an idea of where it's going to be with the receiver's route.
A nice grab. No doubt he was going to hold on to that one.
Next, he's good in all coverage.
Four defensive backs stopping.
I've said this with almost every corner except for maybe Jalen Ramsey, but I think he's more of a safety, so that's kind of why. But with every single corner, I've said that they all excel in almost every single cover. With the exception being Jalen Ramsey. I think Jalen Ramsey struggles in off-man coverage, and that's why I don't think he's fit for cornerback, but he can learn how to play it. But going back to Mackensie Alexander, I think he could play every coverage. He could play off-man, he could play on-the-man, and he could play zone. You know, whichever kind of zone you need him to run. And that kind of goes back to his instincts and his awareness, knowing kind of reading the receiver's body, kind of figuring out the route they're going to run, so he can break into it and have an attempt to make a play on the ball, or keep that receiver completely covered and have no opportunity to make a play.
Of the second quarter.
Yeah, it's nice. They scored that touchdown. The defense has got to be kicking themselves because they did not play well.
Overall, he is a good prospect, but I think he has a couple cons that hold him out of being a guaranteed first-round pick.
The Ravens getting ready to
starting with his production. That's really the big one. He has no interceptions, no forced fumbles, no defensive touchdowns, and 1 fumble recovery. That's the most he has.
A knee here, so the ball will be
so I really think that teams have to look into that. You know, see maybe if he isn't as good as his tape shows, or you know how people think he is.
First down
but overall, they have to keep that in mind that his production was absolutely awful in 2 years at Clemson. but his talent is what's really making it, you know, making him, giving him an effort to be a first-round pick.
Has 3 more chances.
Next, he talks a lot.
There's a momentum killer right there. The flag comes out. I think we have a false start.
He's always in receivers' faces. You know, he's always talking. And although there are some teams that, you know, really love that, I feel like that might shy him away from some teams, as that could lead to penalties.
The 34.
And it has in the past for some teams and certain players.
That time.
They'll knock the ball out of his hands or something, and they'll get right in their face, and then they'll get called for, you know, something stupid like unsportsmanlike conduct. So he has to learn how to kind of use that selectively, you know when to talk, and know when to just walk back to the huddle.
When it comes to these situations,
but I feel like that could be a big issue, and that can kind of lead into,
I promise you, it's going to backfire.
His a bit of a couple of penalties.
At the 34.
Although he doesn't hold like some of the other defensive backs in this class, I think that, again, his mouth can cause him penalties.
Told us this week that
and also, his footwork can cause him penalties, as he can lose his balance, backtracking and all those things.
Well, one coaching staff is happy their prediction
because if he loses his balance, he can try and grab the receiver, regain, all of those things.
Very crisp.
So it's really something he needs to work on.
Tackled at the 29-yard
but overall, I think Mackensie Alexander is a solid prospect. And I have him rated as a late first-rounder to an early second-rounder. I think that most teams can kind of throw those production issues out the window because of his talent. Most because he does have the talent to be a starting NFL corner. And, you know, he has those intangibles and things that you want. I forgot to put him in the starting lineup, so just give me 2 seconds. Oh, man. Wait, what? Oh, damn. What? I'll put him right there.
When they watch this play in the field room,
so,
what a good job by them. Excellent.
Again, as a late first rounder to a early second rounder. Now, reasoning, I think the corners ahead of him have better production, and although some of them aren't as, you know, complete as him as an overall player right now, I think that those production issues are kind of a big concern.
He's got the catch and the first. That's his first reception
that being said, teams of interest include the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think if any team will draft him in the first round, it'd be Pittsburgh. That's the earliest he can go.
And the rules of the NFL.
Overall, I think that he is a very good prospect. It's just he doesn't have the production.
4 in a row.
And I think that other corners in this class have the production to warrant that pick in the first round. So I think Pittsburgh will shy away from this guy. But if they fall in love with him, he would be a pick. He could be a potential landing spot. Pittsburgh could be a potential landing spot
after that completion.
Browns really hit hard that time. I know the football hit his hands.
Seattle needs to find someone along with Richard Sherman at cornerback. They kind of gutted their defensive backs, except for safety, a couple seasons ago with you know, Thurman and all those guys going out the door. So they need to find contributors at cornerback. Although Mackensie Alexander is slightly undersized at 5'10", I think that Pete Carroll's a great coach. He knows what he's doing. He'll find a way to get this kid, get the most out of him. And overall, just find a solid player. But and I think the last team in the first round that has him on his board as a first-round pick probably is Carolina. Carolina just lost.
They came out, couldn't get anything done.
Josh Norman, he went to Washington.
They got to change the tempo of this game.
Tried to find his target over the middle, but that pass goes incomplete.
So Josh Norman just walked away. They were sending
the Ravens come out in a dime package.
You know, so he's not on the team anymore. He's in Washington.
And it's going to push the offense back 5 yards.
I think they need to find someone to replace him. As I believe Charles Tillman is their #1 corner coming into the season. So they're going to have to find someone across from him to be a contributor.
2nd and 13.
Again, although Mackensie Alexander doesn't have the stats that you want, he does have the talent. and the
Bengals are gonna
ceiling
burn the
and all those
first of
things
their
that you
3
really
timeouts
kind of
right here.
expect.
Backs to the wall on 3rd down.
After that, it's second-round teams, starting with Tennessee. Besides Jason McCourty, Tennessee doesn't really have anybody
And 13.
at defensive back in my mind, so they need to find another guy. Tennessee would take him with the second pick in the second round, but I think Tennessee still has a couple more bigger issues right now, and I think
It has been non-existent.
that they can address that at a later
When you
time.
play these games, you got to come out and fight. And
Next
there was
is
no fight
Dallas.
in this offense.
This is
in
all
the
based
first
on if
half.
Dallas does not take Jalen Ramsey.
They're
with
in
the fourth
punting
pick,
formation.
which I believe they will if he's available. So, again, if Dallas doesn't take him, they do need to find a cornerback, and I think Mackensie Alexander could fit well in Dallas.
He's gonna
But
try and
again, they
return
might
this
shy
punt.
away from him because of the production.
Gains 14.
Next is Jacksonville.
Ravens
Besides
offense
Prince
can
Amukamara,
reignite things
this team
now
doesn't
after
really
last
have,
time.
a
Moving the
good
football
corner. I think
only
Devon
to
House is
throw
their number 2
a
corner.
drive-ending
and he has
interception.
not
And this
really
is what this
been
defense lives on. They
a
thrive on it.
great,
They let you
playmaker on defense.
Dunlap wraps up the quarterback. The
So
Ravens
I think they need to
decide
find
to
someone
take
across
a
from
timeout
Amukamara to be
leaving them
another
with only
starter, and I
one.
think that Mackensie Alexander could be a guy that can do that.
This will probably be the last play of the first half.
Next is Baltimore.
The Ravens
With Ladarius Webb
36.
probably moving to safety for the season,
looking at every option.
they need to find another starting cornerback
And it's
besides Jimmy Smith.
complete.
And I think
That'll
that
wrap up the
Mackensie
second
Alexander would
quarter
be
here
a
in
great
the
fit
Queen
in
City of
Baltimore.
Cincinnati. We'll
Although
be
they
back
need to
in
get,
just a moment.
this team needs to
Start the
find
second
defensive
half.
playmakers.
Welcome back,
with,
friends. Jim Nance Bill
Pittsburgh
Simmons
and
from Paul
Cincinnati,
Brown
both
Stadium
in
for the
division.
call. And the
They
third
need to
quarter
find
is
players
about to
on
get
defense
underway.
to slow down Andy Dalton, Ben Roethlisberger.
And he's taken down right
Next,
at about
Tampa Bay.
29.
Tampa Bay
Not
needs to
quite
find a
the
number 1
30.
corner. Although Mackensie Alexander, I don't think really has the size for number 1 corner. He can be a guy that they could stick in there until they find that
The
number 1
Ravens have him
cornerback.
at the 29. Flip to
And I think he can be a solid
good for
contributor
only a yard.
until they find that guy who they really believe is their
Football
number
with
1 guy,
success, you're gonna
who they
have
can put
plays like
on,
this where they pick
some of the
up
best receivers
very
in the
little
league.
yardage. Don't listen to the fans.
And
Keep
last, I
running
think
it,
the furthest
and
he
it'll
could
work.
possibly fall is Chicago.
Slashes to the left side.
I think Chicago has a need a cornerback, but I don't think they address it in the first round unless Vernon Hargreaves is
Third
there.
down on the way.
So we will see. But Chicago needs to find another cornerback besides
Flacco.
Kyle Fuller. If
Intercepted.
Mackensie Alexander is available, I think they pick him in a heartbeat.
Ravens put
as he can
themselves
be
in a
a,
situation where the
a day
defense
1
has all
starter
the
in
advantage. They
a
go
division that
fast,
has
probably has to
3
go down
very
the
good
field on third and
quarterbacks.
long, and they were ready for it.
But that being said, I think that with the 6th
This will
pick
be a
in the
fair
second
catch by
round of the
Jones.
2016 NFL Draft, the
Bengals
Baltimore
offense
Ravens will
coming back
select
onto the field here, desperately trying to avoid a repeat.
Mackensie Alexander,
when they had the
defensive
quick
back
3 and out.
Clemson.
I'll tell you what, if they go 3 and out again, you know what's going to happen? Those defensive players are going to be looking at them as they come off the field. You're putting us back out there
Yeah?
already.
Is that how you really feel?
It's important to
Talk
get
to
a
me.
drive, give your defense a little rest.
All right. So my reasoning.
Second down coming up.
Oh, thank God, go upstairs, you dumb bitch.
Flag is out.
So,
That's a false
my
start on the
reasoning.
offense,
Sorry about
and that'll
that.
cost them 5 yards. After that penalty, it's
Baltimore
now
needs to
second
find
and
playmakers
14.
on defense. I currently say they're going to draft Joey Bosa at number 6.
The Ravens defense.
They need to
brings
find
in an
another
extra member
cornerback
of the
besides Jimmy
secondary.
Smith
They'll
who
go
can be
nickel.
a consistent starter.
Sanu with the catch.
And
Down by Doomer.
although Ladarius Webb is a good corner, he's potentially moving to safety.
And
Or
run
is
of these
almost
drag
guaranteed
routes
to be
across
moving
the
to
field.
safety
It
this season.
shows some courage.
So they need to
Don't
find
worry
another
about what's
cornerback
in
along
front
with
of
Jimmy
you.
Smith
The
to try and
quarterback
slow down
can
those
take
AFC
that.
North offenses.
Gun,
With A.J. Green and potentially a first-round pick coming in, and then Ben Roethlisberger throwing to Antonio Brown, Marcus
This
Wheaton.
team, one of the better tackling
Here,
teams
whoever.
in the NFL,
Doesn't really
and
matter.
they play the situation.
So, I think Baltimore needs to
They
find a
give up
guy
the short
who can
completion.
be a
They come
solid,
up and make the
consistent
tackle.
starter.
Now we
And I
have
think
fourth
Mackensie
down.
Alexander would fit in well in the AFC North. He's an aggressive, tough guy. He's gonna, get in the face of those receivers and
Set up, return. Here he goes.
just
He's
kind of
tackled.
do his
right at
thing.
the 31.
So,
And a run
that
back
is
of
my
about 9.
last player for the 2016 NFL Draft. So, overall, my thoughts on this class are good. I think this might be one of the best classes
First
since
down,
2011. Although it is nowhere near the talent of that class in my mind. I think there are some players.
Job
I
that
think
time
there
by the
are
defense. They were ready
a lot of
for the
players that
run
have
nowhere
potential
for
to
the
be
running
all
back to
pros
go,
in the
and they
future.
stop him for a
A lot of players who have Pro Bowl potential, and a lot of guys who will be solid starters in the future.
Steve Smith with the grab.
So, I mean, I think there's about 5 guys in this class that have potential to be all-pro. I mean, Miles Jack and Larry comes to kind of the top of that list. But there are a couple other guys that can.
Flacco's completion percentage, 60%.
So, overall, though, I'm very excited. The draft is tomorrow. I'm recording this on the 27th. It should be up
Scoring here as
by maybe like 8 o'clock on the 27th. So, that's that. But for now, this is J-Wax. Signing off.